Hey everyone, welcome back to Ecommerce Simplified podcast powered by Spectrum BPO. I'm your host Umar, and today we got a powerhouse guest joining us, Will, the CEO of Bellavix, one of the most respected full service Amazon and Walmart marketing agency out there. Will and his team have helped countless brands scale on marketplace through short strategy, full funnel advertising, and data driven SEO. So, today we are diving deep into some of the most important topics that matter for 2025, from the future of Amazon SEO to scaling ads and nailing your brand story. Well, it is great having you here. And how are you today?
Hey man, thanks for having me. I'm great. It's the first thing in the morning here, so I just had a nice breakfast, good coffee, and I knocked out some key emails. So I'm ready to have this conversation, and I'm excited to be on the show.
Great, great. That's awesome. Let's jump right into it. So, starting with something that evolving really fast, which is Amazon SEO. So, Will, let's kick things off with SEO, something that's constantly shifting on Amazon, right? So, how do you see Amazon SEO evolving beyond traditional keyword tactics?
Yeah, so AI is obviously like the biggest impactful new feature that's changing the shape of search. We're seeing, like, for example, on Walmart, I think it's like 1 in 5 searches on ChatGPT related to e-commerce is directing traffic over to Walmart, and Amazon is working on its Rufus. So what we've been doing and what we recommend is, as you optimize your listings, to keep in mind like contextually what people are searching for and how you might incorporate features. So if you sell like I don't know, a lightweight yoga mat for outside, like those are mentioned throughout the listing so that ChatGPT can easily understand, or in this case, Rufus can index you for AI for those keywords that are like similarly related to what your product does. So those are the biggest things. But I do caution a lot of our sellers, keywords as of now is still like a major player. Most searches are still happening on Amazon, and they're punching in the product or the brand. So while we are focusing on optimizing for Rufus, there's still something to be said about having the right keywords in your listings, relevancy, great images, like all that stuff still applies. There's just a new element and an opportunity to get additional traffic from different sources.
Great, great. This is a great perspective. And speaking of evolution, so tools are getting smarter every day. Okay, so tools like Data Dive, Rufus, Brand Analytics, EMC are changing the SEO game, right? So how can brand practically use them to make better content decisions?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll speak to the tools we use. We're big on Helium 10 and Data Dive, and honestly, it's just letting data drive the decision. So you should split test. We're all data scientists as being marketers, so split testing is important. We use a software called PickFu. Justin Chan, it's his software, and it's a great way to get feedback quickly on ideas, products, changes. And then the second way is through manager experiments on Amazon. You can test your main images, titles, even bullets when they're on the page. So like those are great tools to be able to provide you data to make educated decisions. And what's getting better is like how these tools can identify keyword opportunities, gaps in the marketplace. Like as a result of AI, the tools are better able to organize and help guide users through like how it pulled the data, the relevancy of it, why is it important, and then the human intuition and positioning and strategy is still an element.
So sellers, guys, you are just guys missing the PickFu tool. You should check it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. So what are the biggest mistake you see sellers still making when it comes to SEO on Amazon?
A lot of sellers will just copy their website, and we see this, although copy their Amazon listings directly to Walmart. It's different searches, it's different ways products index. Amazon puts a lot of weight on its titles. I've seen Walmart put more weight on bullets and categories in which you index for. So like, I forgot what you call the nodes, but those are more important to Walmart. Amazon's title and its images, and your website is not something I'm an expert in, but I know it's different than the other two. So there's just a lot of different elements. So to get started, yeah, I mean, just throw your stuff up there. It's good to have a presence, do the brand registry so resellers can't come in and soil your brand name. And if you decide that you have the energy to take over Amazon, you can work on it and own everything. So that would be my advice, is once you can commit time to it, it's good to have a presence on there. But it takes time to manage. So you'll make sure if you do decide to go that route. So that's the biggest mistake sellers make, is this: they list the products, they match the copy, and they don't optimize it for the shopping behavior on this specific platform. Another thing is advertising. A lot of sellers don't realize, specifically market, it's pay to play. You have to advertise. So I can't tell you how many launches we did where it ended once the products went live, and then they come back to us in a month and they're like, your SEO is wrong. And it's like, no, you have a brand new listing in a competitive space. You have no reviews and no traffic. Like, Amazon's not going to put you on the first page. You gotta pay to play. So those are two, probably the biggest. And then outside of that, just cannibalization of your website traffic. At this point, it's omni-channel. Shoppers shop where they shop. You advertise in one area, it spills over to all the others. So at the end of the day, it all works together where you should be, where your shoppers want to be. So I don't consider advertising or keyword or any cannibalization going on. People shop on Amazon and Walmart. So I think those would be the three biggest as I ramble on. But yeah, that's what I see new sellers do, some of the mistakes they make.
Yeah, when you talk about the budget or ads, so smaller seller who don't have massive budgets, what should they do?
Yes, if you don't have a massive budget and you have like a budget period, focus on your website. To be honest with you, you can you own the data, you own that traffic, you own the email address. So like, depending on what your product is, but remarketing, retention marketing tactics, you can better measure lifetime value. So I always tell, and I sell Amazon all the time. It's like, if I had to put it in one area, I put it there so I could control my customer. But the benefit of Amazon obviously has a lot of customers. 50% of e-commerce starts on Amazon. So it is a trade-off. But if I had limited funds, I would start there. If I'm just starting off on Amazon, at the very basic, I would say, and they were asking for a budget. For most of our brands that come in, we recommend between $1,500 to $2,000 per parent SKU that you'd like us to advertise a month. And that's not crazy. That's on the low end. And then for like super small brands, you can get away with $500. You could just, don't bother targeting any branded. Don't get aggressive on how the broad or irrelevancy of your keywords. If I had a $500 budget, I would focus on the top 10 most relevant keywords. I would run an auto campaign. I'd have those manual campaigns set up. I like to do scamp single keyword campaigns because we use campaigns in Amazon world in that ad group. So I'd set up a handful of scamp campaigns using phrase and exact match and just see, really try to control the traffic so I can make the most of a small investment. But your biggest bang for your buck's going to be where are your audiences. And for most products and brands we work with, audience discovery usually happens on social, which is why I say if I had a limited budget, I'd probably be advertising on Instagram, Meta, or TikTok, and I would be driving traffic to my website. Hopefully that's helpful, Umar.
Yeah, that's really helpful metric. So, all right, shifting the gears. So let's talk about the advertising. Everyone is chasing, as you said, that the deal full funnel strategy, but very few actually pull it off, right? So what does a truly full funnel Amazon advertising strategy look like today?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my enterprise level brands, like you'll know them in brick and mortar, they're your everyday brands that we work with. They execute full funnel really well. On our side, it means we're doing everything from streaming TV to programmatic advertising to sponsored products and some affiliate marketing as part of it. And so you can see streaming TV, general awareness, and then like that consideration is the affiliate marketing. It's also the DSP and programmatic ads. So we're building audiences in the consideration phase, and then purchase is like sponsored products, getting them in search, remarketing to them everywhere we possibly can, on and off. So like that is the Amazon funnel, and they do a really good job, but they have like, you know, they get 3,000 eyeballs a day being on the corner aisle of Target. You know, it does spill over into what we do. So it's easier for the bigger brands. So typically most of our brands are like mid-sized. They're between 5 million and over, give or take, in general e-commerce. So they're generally doing some sales, and we end up covering mid-funnel and down tends to be where we end up. So a lot of times, because it is expensive to run streaming TV ads, the ROAS is there, but it takes like a solid year, and it's about growing the brand, and it's a lot of measuring, and it takes a long time, and not all these brands can budget an extra $5,000 to $15,000 a month on the low end to keep it going. So typically what we do, we usually don't do streaming TV for our typical client. We'll do programmatic advertising. We'll do a bottom-up approach. So we're capturing loyal, so people who bought from the brand, people who are in consideration. So they viewed our product, didn't make a purchase. They viewed competitor products, they didn't make a purchase. We'll conquest after specific competitors. And if there's enough budget, we'll do like a general demographic for like the brands that let us pixel their websites. We'll build the lookalike audience, and it tends to perform pretty good using Amazon's data. So we would typically do that, and then coupled with a PPC strategy, and then a listing optimization strategy tied to that. So we would be like, hey, these are 10 to 15 of our most valuablest keywords that we want to index for. So how are we going to index? We make sure the keywords are in the listings where they need to be. We put advertising dollars behind it, and then we have that DSP programmatic to capture those sales that we might have missed, or capturing shoppers as they show intent. And that's typically how we run it. And most of our mid-sized brands that have some brand equity, you know, they're doing between $2 to $5 ROAS on their investment. So it really varies. And a lot of that has to do with like, how aggressive are we being mid-funnel? Some brands around the holidays, because we're building audiences, it's like, you know, we're cool with going down to $2.50 ROAS, knowing that when December rolls around, I'm gonna have huge retargeting audiences of people shopping around. So it varies, but there's some KPIs, some rough measurements, and kind of like how we think about advertising from a full funnel, and even some organic stuff like SEO is your lowest cost optimization tactic that can pay back big dividends over time.
That makes sense. So how you guys naturally leads and how you allocate the budgets. So my next question is about biggest headache we hear from the brands is attribution. So attribution is a big challenge. So what are the best ways to measure cross-channel performance effectively?
Yeah, great question. AMC has been rolled out to everyone, and that gives you the ability to measure. If you're using Amazon attribution tags, you'll get a little more visibility. In all transparency, they are 70% visibility at best. So like when we look at attribution data from off Amazon, we consider it ballpark figures. We're able to provide feedback. In a lot of cases, it's a social media team driving traffic for an event to Amazon. So we'll report what influencers, what campaigns, like everything in advertising. Like the more granular and relevant you could be, the more impact, the more control you have. So when we roll out attribution campaigns, we'll roll it out to the level that the other agency doing social will line it up. So we could have campaign level, ad group level, creative level attribution and track it. But the even with AMC, like it's still not a perfect system. There's still gaps, and I tell the brands we work with that it's ballpark. It's going to give us an intuition. We'll have a general idea if it's profitable, and like indirectly we tie everything back to tacos or TROAS. So like we're looking at total spend and total sales, so we can account for some of this mid and upper funnel tactics and how over time it impacts total sales. So that's an important KPI. And that's like, if you're not measuring in that, you know, Amazon, Walmart, these are the platforms where sales influences positioning, ranking, BSR. So like it is all tied together. So that's why it's better to move to that, especially when you're starting to do off platform tactics to drive back, understand that
Right.
some of it's going to be missed. But if you're just looking at spend and total sales, you'll have an idea of what working, what the growth, what you're investing over time.
Right. Love it. Love it. And it reminds me some of campaigns where adding DSP made a huge difference, right? Okay.
Yeah.
If I ask you, could you share a campaign example where integrating DSP or external traffic made a major difference?
Yeah, so it's hard to, so we have case studies I could share, but like I'll give you a general example for like, perfect example. We work with a brand called Core First, and they were a fun brand to work with. They did Pilates reformers. Unfortunately, they got sued with the brand name thing, so they ended up going out of business, which was sad. But we helped them launch. We worked with them for about 2 years before they had some legal issues. We got them in their first Christmas to rank as the #1 bestseller for sports equipment and the #1 bestseller in the Pilates category. So it's like a really big win.
Sure.
It came with a huge bump in sales. And so the way we were able to do that, I remember through the title, there was a specific, I don't know, somewhat long-tailed keyword around Pilates, reformer, substitute. I don't remember the exact keyword, but it was something like that we saw a huge gap. It was low competition. So we did that. We bolstered it with some PPC ads, and then we layered in DSP. But we were running DSP since we launched pretty much in the background, spending, like we were just retargeting bottom up. So we're like $1,500 a month. We weren't breaking bank. But as the holiday rolled around, and in this particular case, that December through mid-February was like a really good season for this brand, new me, health conscious people kicking off the new year. Because we invested throughout the launch, when we actually kicked in the season, we had good organic ranking. We had good reviews on our product. We had a listing we knew can convert really well. And so when we went into customer acquisition mode from December, 1st-ish through February, we were able to really accelerate sales. And what was nice, we saw like a $5-6 return on our DSP because we flipped all the switches to like retargeting and aggressively capturing this traffic. And it was Christmas time, so we were able to capture a lot more traffic, and it went really well. But like from the bottom up, it was like identifying the right keywords, implementing into the listing, knowing how well a listing converts, knowing what traffic before the holidays is most responsive to our PPC and our DSP all played into it. And it led to, you got the #1 badge, #1 new seller badge. We saw a huge bump in sales, and it kind of led us through February. And then demand, seasonality, like it's happened. I haven't met a product that it's not impacted by seasonality. So it is what it is.
Cool. Very cool. Great insight, Will. Okay, I think you have covered my next question, so skip that one. So for someone who is managing ads with a limited budget, right? How should they prioritize spend for maximum return?
Yeah, so traditionally, and for most of our brands, 80% is going to be PPC. Of that 80%, 70 to 80% is going to be like sponsored product, PPC, your auto, your manual, your keyword campaigns. 10 to 15% you want to do sponsored brands for very relevant and branded keywords, own that top of search. And then 5 to 10% to do some display ads. I love the bottom up approach. Like I came from like a Kantar study a few years ago on the touch point through the funnel, how it leads to more sales. So I like to just run display, retargeting at the minimum, but it gives you the ability to build audiences. And then once you, then the other 20%, if you could do DSP, you need a seat, you could work with an agency or some softwares do it. I think like Perpetua is a big one. Most of the major advertising softwares will allow you to advertise DSP through their seat. So it could be a way for you to get that. But I would only allocate 20% of that budget to DSP, and 80 to 90% of my DSP budget is bottom of the funnel, remarketing, in-market, and conquesting. And then 10% at most is going to be like brand awareness, a demographic targeting, something we're testing in DSP. So like that's the rough structure. So of 100% budget, 80% is going to sponsored products, 20% is going to DSP. Of the sponsored products, let's just say 70% is going to be going to your PPC. It's going to have the biggest return, sponsored products. 10 to 15% sponsored brand, 5 to 10% sponsored display. And on the DSP side, 80 to 90% bottom of the funnel remarketing, conquesting, and in market, and then 10% for audience development, mid funnel, and testing. So that's a lot, but that's kind of what we do. And it varies. If somebody's more aggressive, we may allocate 30% of the budget to DSP and have a little less, and then take away from brand protection. So like, these are like generic and some like supplements and beauty, they're a little more competitive. You're probably going to be more aggressive on PPC than you would be, mid and upper funnel tactics. So
Nice one. And even without big tools, like you said, measurements still matter.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's jump on the creativity and connection. So brand storytelling, because at the end of the day, even on Amazon, people buy from people, right? So in such a crowded marketplace, what role does brand storytelling play in driving trust and sales?
Yeah, we only work with brands, so it is everything. A good brand story, mission-driven brands are going to do the best because their story is going to resonate, and we all love a good story. There's like I forgot the name of it, but it's like seven basic stories. It's like over, needing support. I forgot the name of it, but ChatGPT helps me out so much. There's this 7 basic outlines. Think of like the hero story, the hero's journey. It's like that concept. There's a marketing version. The Ohio State University broke down the 7 needs of humans and how you can kind of position your brand storytelling around one of these 7 needs, and everything will fall into one of those needs in terms of pain points and solutions. So like, Google it, it'll pop up first, but like that is great for storytelling. So like, in every brand, from agency to products to service providers, like they all have a story that's shaped around one of these core storytelling components. So I would check that out. And my design team, my creative team, they do a lot of that. So they're much better at it than I am.
That's true. And of course, none of that works without the real readiness, right? So what are the key elements of retail readiness that separate strong brands from the rest?
I would say the biggest thing is probably images. Having really good images and video, they definitely help sell the product. So from your main image to the 7 other listings on your images on your listing, and that could be, you should have something lifestyle, in style, size, if it depending on what the product type is. Anything with taste should be displayed visually so you can get an idea what it tastes like. That's really hard for food brands. Same thing with perfume. If you could come across with the notes, like those are really important and really hard to do. Like good brands do that well. The SEO element is obviously part of it. A lot of brands go crazy when you're just getting started. Find like 5 to 10, closer to 5 root keywords that you really want to rank for, and then you'll find long tail variations off of that. But make sure you have a list of keywords you want to rank for. Make sure they're as relevant as humanly possible. And then the last piece is you got to do advertising. So if nothing else, do your basic pay-per-click, and even if you run one manual campaign just to do something to have a presence, anything's better than nothing.
Great. So have you seen any standout example of storytelling that really elevated a brand's presence?
Yeah, let me try to think of some good brands we work with. We did Proof Dot, their period underwear for women when they're going through their cycles. And it's kind of like a really it's an unpleasant experience. And what they were able to do, the sisters that started the brand really well, was kind of describe the problem in a way that was very relatable to their audience. Great content, good, high quality product. And there was a need for it in the market. And we had that brand up for about a year, and then Procter & Gamble came and bought up that brand as well as the other brand that the sisters own. It was Belly Bandit. But their ability to tell that story got P&G to buy them up. So that's like an example of what great, and understanding your customer and their pain point, and like I said, tied to that human need. So that's an example of what great storytelling can do, and it's to help them. So there's tons of solutions out there for that same exact product, but they just great visuals. They're able to really tell the story in a way that got them the right attention.
Great, great. Okay, the most important question, how can sellers make their A+ content stand out when everyone is using the same templates?
That is a great question. Brand guide, man. Dude, I can't tell you how many sellers I worked with that haven't even considered this. So you should have visual direction so you can get consistency between wherever your products are being sold, from packaging to messaging. So like typically if we build a brand guide, we would have your fonts, your visual style, the colors we're allowed to use, the messaging, who our customer is, what are their, what are their lives like, and where do we come into the picture? And that's all part of it. And if you have that, you're so far ahead of so many brands. And it definitely makes, like, if you work with influencers, if you work with video creative, if you end up, as you grow, having that, those core principles around your brand and guidelines is it's gonna separate you from everyone else.
Great, right. So let's go into the less glamorous but super important part, compliance, right? So
Yeah.
because Amazon's rules change faster than most teams can react. So with Amazon's frequent policy updates, right? How can brands stay proactive rather than reactive?
Yeah, you got to manage your account health is a big thing for the brands that we've worked with. That is not like somebody ate this and had an allergic reaction where they have to be proactive, and those happen. There's processes to get it back, but generally for compliance, like if you're selling a supplement and they need to do testing, they're going to give you like 60 to 90 days. They're going to provide the exact steps you have to do. So monitoring your account health and catching those right away. We work with a seller that, oh my God, it was so ridiculous. The guy sells a lot of product, but an agency was managing, and whatever, they had a falling out, and he thought his account was being neglected, but he wasn't sure. They did that once a year, check your business information, and the team ignored it, never noticed it, and the time elapsed, and they ended up closing down his account. 7-figure seller, so it was a substantial hit, and it took him about 6 weeks to get it back up, which is why he was looking for a new agency. But that's just like another example. It's simple. That's compliance too, making sure you have all your business information updated, all your tax information's in there. And Amazon does give you ample time. People complain about it. Customer service isn't the best, but out of a lot of other platforms I work with, it's actually pretty good. They will give you a heads up. If your product doesn't comply, you just take your inventory out. But we haven't had as much of those issues. So compliance is just something you need to monitor and have a plan. When it comes, if you're in the supplement space or beauty space, have COAs available, have a folder that you share with your agency or your internal team, so that when these things do come up, you can reply faster without having to go like, hey, John, I need this. And then John's got to go find it from wherever. And it adds a day or two, but every day counts when you're potentially losing thousands of dollars of sales.
Right. That's smart. So, Will, do you like SOPs? What about as an agency? What about structure like systems or SOPs? Do you like SOPs?
Yeah, I mean, you have to when you hire more than like 5 people. So we have extensive SOPs on everything we do. To be honest with you, once the team's been with us, a team member's been with us for a while, we just really keep the SOPs updated as things get updated. And when you do something enough times, you're not necessarily looking at the SOP. But it's also great for onboarding, and it ensures there's consistency between teams, which is important. So like when you work with Bellavix, our vision is world-class people delivering world-class service, and how we're able to accomplish that is having systems and SOPs in place. And like the team itself, if you hit a roadblock, they're able to pump questions into the internal channels where other team members can chime in. So SOPs are everything if you're you're scaling a human service business. I can't see. I don't know how you'd operate without them, to be honest with you.
Right, right. And some teams just can't keep up.
Yeah, that's it too. But I mean, you keep up or get left behind. We are in the age of AI, so
Yeah.
But they have a great solution. It's a Chrome plugin. I forgot the name of it. It's it records and writes the SOP for you. So we started using that. I'm not in my regular browser, but I forgot the name of it. But it's I got you on the phone. I'll just Scribe. We use Scribe. Scribe is great, really low cost, and it's a great way, especially as Amazon, as you mentioned, changes something or whatever. Super easy for us to be like, hey, when you do your checks, record it, and we can add it to the SOP. So technology has helped make our SOP process a little easier.
Okay, I'll let my team check that tool.
Yeah,
Can you please that tool? I'll just note it.
Yeah, Scribe, SCRIBE. Yep, Scribe.com.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
Scribe. Okay. Okay. Any advice for teams that struggle with keeping up Amazon's evolving ecosystem?
That's what you get paid for. Follow my newsletter. I put something out every week. I go through the news of Amazon and Walmart and Shopify. We help e-commerce brands. We do Amazon best. But yeah, inside of Amazon, they have the news and updates feed. I check that weekly, and I'll scroll through the seller forums weekly just to see what. A lot of times, and a little hack too, if you have a case you're having trouble resolving, post the case number and the information about the case in the forums, and you'll get help. But those are like areas where we kind of look for news. And then I follow Ads Week, we follow Modern Retail, so like there's a lot of outlets. But like your job as an agency or somebody in this space is to stay on top of the technology. And I hope you have ADD because it changes every day, so you're always chasing something new.
Okay, great. I got it. So, all right. Well, before we wrap up, let's hit our rapid fire cross question, right?
Let's do it.
So, if you had to summarize your Amazon growth philosophy in one sentence, what would it be?
Learned evolution, because when I started at this point, 2012, made tons of mistakes, but at this point, we have good systems and teams in place, and we understand a lot more about the ecosystem. So that's been my Amazon journey. Learned evolution.
Great. Question number 2. What's one common misconception about selling or scaling on Amazon that you would like to clear up?
I just had this happen to me. If you're launching on Prime Day, just because it's Prime Day, it doesn't mean you're going to get a bunch of sales. There's a lot that goes into selling on Amazon. So just keep in mind the holidays help for sure, but if you're not positioned well, you're not going to do well either way.
Can you share a lesson you have learned the hard way that could save our listeners time or money?
Yeah, so as you guys get into leadership roles at your organizations, don't hire friends and family. I fired my brother, I fired my brother-in-law, I fired cousins, friends. Yeah, it's true. You think you're helping somebody out, but they end up being the hardest people to fire. There'll be B players, they'll pull down your A players. So like, yeah, man, it sucks. And I'm not gonna lie, I have a couple cousins that my relationship hasn't been the same since. Mm-hmm. So, it is what it is. Live and learn.
Okay, sure. So what's next for Amazon seller in 2026? What trends should they start preparing for now?
I'm interested in AI and audio ads, to be honest with you. I can see, at least the way I use AI, I have it read a lot to me. So I could see, just as advertising integrates with ChatGPT as like coming up in results, I'd imagine there's going to be some type of audio element, especially for people using like, I'm using like BAI and some of these new wearable technologies where it's like it's designed to conversate. So I'm interested to see. So that's what I'm interested in. Where are ads going to exist? And I'm an advertiser by heart, so I can't wait to see what tools I'll have to just target new targets and help brands scale.
Right. Well, this was awesome and tons of insight and real strategy here. Thanks a lot taking the time and sharing your perspective with our audience and your audience as well. So for everyone listening, make sure to check out Bellavix, BELLAVIX.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, follow E-commerce Simplified podcast for more deep dives like this. Until next time, I'm Omar. Take care and keep scaling smart.